This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. Several weeks ago, almost a month now, I received a telephone call from the Caribbean and an extermination company looking for mosquito controls that were a little safer, effective, but could be applied particularly in early morning and early evening. In other words, when people are active outdoors and in the sunlight. The conversation turned to why this was happening, and they explained that there was a severe outbreak of Chikungunya, which really took me back, since this is an African-born disease which spread from Tanzania in 1952 all the way across Africa, below the equator, through the Middle East, across the Asian subcontinent, in other words, all of India, Pakistan, all the way across, through Indonesia, and as far north as the Philippines, and even into China as well. So, here we are. We suddenly have a disease that has moved within, let's say, 50 years, basically around the planet. And that's simply because we move, and it goes with us. Now, what is chikungunya? Chikungunya is a viral disease. It was first identified in Tanzania in 1952. It is an RNA virus spread by the mosquitoes, and of course, only the females bite, so we can blame the females here, guys. It is actually an RNA virus in the alpha virus genus of the family Togavertae, and its name, which is chikungunya, comes from the Kimakoti language, meaning to be contorted. Why? Because victims of this chikungunya is actually going to have a stooped appearance. And the stooped appearance is because of the joint pain, extreme joint pain of the victims. Now, characterized by, of course, joint pain. But when you get this, the first symptoms is often fever and severe joint pain. But you will also get, or a combination of the following: muscle pain, headache, nausea, fatigue, and rash. It has a lot of the same clinical diagnosis of effects, symptoms of dengue fever. And it is often misdiagnosed, where dengue fever is more common. There is no cure for chikungunya, and it is basically treated by relieving the symptoms. In other words, painkillers, etc., maybe some anti-inflammatories, etc. But specialized treatment, you don't just go to your common everyday local doctor. How are you going to get this one? Well, in the past, this viral disease was in our area for, I would say, only certain countries in the Caribbean. And the countries, there was only like 5 or 6 where it was endemic. And as a result, most people didn't know about it. So the El Salvador, French Guyana, Haiti, Puerto Rico, and Suriname were all the islands and countries where it was endemic. In other words, if you traveled there, the mosquitoes basically carried it, and if you got bitten even once, you got the virus. So, but it has spread, and there has been cases reported across the Caribbean in Anguilla, Antigua, Barbuda, British Virgin Islands, Dominican Republic, of course, El Salvador, French Guyana, Grenada, Guadeloupe, Guyana, Haiti, Martinique, Puerto Rico, St. Barthélemy, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Martin, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, St. Martins, Suriname, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Tell me there isn't a lot of snowbirds who go and visit those. The gentleman who called me about the controls for mosquitoes was from an exterminator company, and he was doing the extermination and his company for most of the very large hotel chains throughout the Caribbean. And they spray twice a day, and it was usually early morning and early evening. And they were just doing that as a precaution against this but other insects. But now with this becoming endemic and being so common, they have no choice. They are now looking for it. You may, as a patient, if you get this, actually recover, but it may take days, it may take months, it may even take years to recover. Occasionally, it'll attack your eyes, your neurological and heart complications, as well as gastrointestinal complaints. So in other words, you may think you have food poisoning or, the usual gastrointestinal complaints when we travel, where in fact you may be actually misdiagnosed even when you come home with this, not knowing that this is the disease. You just figure, you're just not feeling well, etc. But if you visited an area where dengue fever was, they would start looking at it as thinking that you had dengue fever. So maybe that's a good thing, because then they would discover that you had chikungunya and not that one. So now that it has spread almost around the world, and you now are traveling more and more, as we all are, then you know that you have to go and look after yourself. Here's the bad news, okay? You notice I did not say anything about the United States, but chikungunya is brought home by people who travel. And if the mosquitoes here they bite other people, it can spread it. The result is that the first case in the lower 48 states of the United States has been reported and proven that the person had never left home, because these mosquitoes that they go after you bite during the day, okay? They bite outdoors, indoors, so being indoors is not protection. What are you going to do? Not much. Keep down the controls on your mosquitoes, etc., all the way across. The two mosquitoes, the types that are actually the most prominent for chikungunya is Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. Both of these mosquitoes are well known to actually carry the disease, okay? So be aware that it is going to be there. And it's a virus. Now, you and I all know that there's not a lot of control on viruses. That's why we have never controlled the common cold. So are you going to have to be super careful when you travel? Yes. When I used to travel to Australia, people used to complain all the time that the stewards and stewardesses and the control people would go through the plane before you got out of your seat, and they would spray with aerosol cans over top of everybody in the plane to kill any airborne and any bugs that you were bringing in with you. Maybe they knew something that they didn't know, because guess what? Even though New Guinea and all the Indonesias, etc., and China have got it, Australia doesn't. So maybe there was some good thinking there, even back in the 1960s. So maybe they knew something or were planning it. So the World Health Organization has actually come out and stated that it is now reported in the United States, in Florida, and again, lots of snowbirds go to Florida, and it's not known whether it was because the mosquitoes bit somebody who traveled, and then other mosquitoes bit that person who bit the other person who actually reported it, and they found it there, or whether or not it came across on a storm or a wind from the Caribbean. Nobody knows. But you now have a threat that you need to be aware of when you do travel in the Caribbean and in the Florida. Basically, so far, Florida. But it also means that you need to protect yourself, okay? So if you're going and you're traveling and you're going into tropical or wooded areas, or anywhere near water, surprise, surprise, okay, you need to use bug sprays. You need to go in like all the other people, in, even here, to control biting insects, mosquitoes. Empty your plastic pools, your flower pots, pet dishes, gutters, bird baths, tires, anything where water may stand for 2 to 5 days, because that's all they need in order to complete their life cycle. So there you go. Be aware. And if you have these symptoms when you come back, please see a doctor, get it identified, hopefully before mosquitoes bite you here and continue to spread the disease, the virus, in Canada. Okay? I mean, the Americans have been so kind as to give us so many great and invasive species of bugs and insects, as well as other things. So be aware and be informed, and that's why I'm telling you, look after yourself. Okay? Oh, and by the way, the older you are, or if you have problems with immune resistance, etc., or problems that way, there is a possibility that this viral disease can be a little more than debilitating. It can also cause death. Okay? So be aware. And when you travel, watch out for the Chikungunya viral disease spread by biting mosquitoes. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.